You're tuned in because you're thinking about, well, how to get the most out of your fitness and nutrition, right?
Hmm.
You want to build muscle, recover well, and maybe you're also thinking about, the planet.
Yeah, that sustainability piece is becoming huge for a lot of people.
Exactly. So, for this deep dive, we're jumping into the world of algae-based proteins, specifically spirulina and chlorella.
And look, this isn't just, pond scum we're talking about. These could be actual performance boosters, sort of like superheroes for your muscles, helping with growth and recovery.
Superheroes, I like that.
And surprisingly good for the environment, too.
Right. So today we're going to unpack, well, pretty much everything you need to know. We'll look at their nutrients, how they might affect muscle growth, that muscle protein synthesis, or MPS and recovery.
And we've got that interesting University of Exeter study to talk about there.
Yeah, definitely. We'll also cover how easily our bodies can actually use the protein, other health perks for athletes, where you might already be seeing them pop up.
And bars and powders and things.
Exactly. And of course, got to talk about any potential downsides. Need the full picture.
For sure. And to make sure we give you that clear picture, we've pulled information from quite a few places. Scientific papers, sports nutrition sites, even looked at what the plant-based food folks are saying, trying to be thorough.
So our mission for you today, pretty simple. Figure out if adding spirulina or chlorella, or maybe both, makes sense for your goals, your fitness, your diet. Consider this your shortcut to getting clued in. Nice.
Do it.
All right, let's dive in. So, algae-based proteins. What exactly are spirulina and chlorella?
Okay, so algae, it's a massive group of water-based organisms, right? You've got
Right.
the big ones, macroalgae, think seaweeds you might have in a salad.
Right, kelp and nori and stuff.
Exactly. But then you have the microalgae, tiny single-celled things. And that's where spirulina and chlorella fit in, especially when we're talking protein supplements.
Why the focus on the little guys?
Mainly because they are incredibly protein dense and, relatively speaking, easier to grow and harvest efficiently. Spirulina, for instance. Its proper name is Arthros spiriplatensis.
Oh,
It actually has a pretty cool history.
oh yeah.
Yeah, the Aztecs used it centuries ago. And even now, NASA looks at it as potential space food for astronauts.
Wow. Okay.
And protein-wise, can be anywhere from 55% up to a whopping 70% protein by dry weight.
70%. That's huge.
It really is. A very concentrated protein source in just a small amount.
Okay, mind blown already. What about chlorella?
So chlorella vulgaris,
Yeah.
that's a green microalgae, grows in fresh water, another nutrient powerhouse. Its protein content is also really high, usually around 50 to 60% by dry weight.
Still very impressive.
Definitely. And people have been looking at chlorella as a potential large-scale protein source for decades. This isn't some overnight trend.
It's kind of wild to think these have been food sources for so long. You mentioned other microalgae too.
Yeah, I mean, while spirulina and chlorella get most of the attention for protein, there are others like Nattochloropsis and Ctenodesmus. They also have decent protein.
But maybe not as much.
The levels can vary more, like Nattochloropsis might be 28 to 55%,
Mhm.
Ctenodesmus even wider, like 8 to 56%. So yeah, potential there, but spirulina and chlorella are kind of leading the pack for supplementation right now.
Gotcha. Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting for people thinking about sustainability. You said growing algae is better for the planet. Can you dig into that a bit?
Absolutely. Just think about traditional animal farming, right? Needs tons of land, massive amounts of water.
Yeah, the footprint is huge.
Huge.
Yeah.
And even growing many staple plant crops can use a lot of resources. Algae cultivation, generally much less land needed, significantly less water,
Ah, okay.
which makes it a potentially far more sustainable way to produce protein, especially for, a growing global population.
Mm.
And for the listener, it means you can choose a protein that maybe aligns better with your environmental concerns.
That's a massive plus, really. Okay, so packed with protein, potentially more eco-friendly. But, anyone serious about fitness knows it's not just how much protein, it's the quality.
Exactly. Amino acids.
Let's talk amino acids. What are these algae proteins actually made of?
Right, so protein quality boils down to its amino acid profile. Specifically, the essential amino acids, the ones your body can't make, you have to get them from food.
The building block.
The essential building blocks. And the great news, spirulina is considered a complete protein,
Meaning?
meaning it has all 9 of those essential amino acids, and in amounts that meet the recommendations from like the WHO and other health bodies. Actually, about 47% of its total protein is essential amino acids, so it's giving your muscles everything they need.
Okay, that's good to hear. What about BCAAs? Branched chain amino acids, leucine, isoleucine, valine, everyone talks about those for muscle growth.
Spirulina's got them. Significant amounts of leucine, valine, and isoleucine. Those are key for triggering that muscle protein synthesis, MPS, and helping recovery after workouts.
And anything else notable?
Yeah, its lysine content is quite good. Lysine can sometimes be lower in diets heavy on grains, like cereals. So spirulina can be really valuable there, especially for plant-based folks.
That is valuable info. Okay, how does chlorella stack up amino acid-wise?
Chlorella is also a complete protein. Provides that full essential amino acid spectrum your body needs.
Nice.
Its profile is generally pretty well balanced. Good levels of lysine and leucine,
Mhm.
similar to spirulina. Some research, interestingly, suggests chlorella might even have a bit more methionine than spirulina.
Methionine, another essential one, right?
Yep, important for lots of bodily functions.
Interesting. Okay, so if we compare these algae to, say, the usual suspects, whey protein, maybe soy or pea protein, how do they look side by side?
That's a great question. Compared to animal proteins like whey, both spirulina and chlorella offer essential amino acid profiles that are, well, pretty comparable.
Really? Comparable to whey?
In terms of being complete and having a good spread, yes.
Hmm.
Now, whey is famously rich in BCAAs,
Yeah.
especially leucine, that big trigger for MPS.
Right.
But algae hold their own. Then you look at plants. Soy protein isolate is also complete. Pea protein usually has good BCAAs, but can be lower in methionine and cysteine. Rice protein often has less lysine, but more sulfur amino acids.
So it varies.
It does. But what's cool is that algae, like spirulina and chlorella, often present a more comprehensive profile than some of those other single plant sources. They really stand toe-to-toe.
We actually have some data here looking at essential amino acids per 100 grams of protein. For leucine, okay, whey is highest, yeah, but spirulina and chlorella aren't that far behind.
Right.
And lysine, wow, spirulina and chlorella look very competitive with whey, actually, and definitely higher than pea protein in this comparison.
See, they really can hold their own.
So yeah, the takeaway seems to be if you're looking for a plant-based complete protein, algae are definitely contender.
Absolutely. They tick that box very well.
Okay, so they've got the right building blocks. Packed with them. Now, the big question for anyone hitting the gym or pounding the pavement, what's the actual impact? Do they help build and repair muscle? That University of Exeter study sounds key here.
It really is. This research, it was in the Journal of Nutrition. It was kind of groundbreaking. First human study showing that eating spirulina or chlorella significantly boosts myofibrillar protein synthesis.
Okay, break that down. Myofibrillar protein synthesis.
That's the process your body uses to literally build new muscle protein, muscle growth.
Got it.
And the study showed this happened both when people were resting and after they exercised, young adults.
Mm.
And what was really striking, the effect was similar to mycoprotein.
Mycoprotein,
Yeah.
like corn, that fungus-based protein.
Exactly, which is known to be a very high-quality, effective non-animal protein source.
Mm.
So finding algae performed similarly. That's
Wow, okay. That is a strong point. Suggests they don't just contain protein, they actually work.
Precisely. The study also noted something interesting about timing. While all the proteins increased amino acids in the blood, spirulina led to the fastest and highest peak levels.
Faster peak. Why does that matter?
Well, even though the total muscle building over time was similar, getting those amino acids to the muscle faster, especially right after exercise, that might be beneficial for kickstarting recovery and growth. That post-workout window idea.
Makes sense. Flood the muscles quickly. Has other research backed this up? Animal studies, maybe?
Yeah, there have been some rat studies supporting spirulina's muscle-building effects. They showed increased rates of skeletal muscle protein synthesis and even suggested it might help protect against muscle loss in certain situations, possibly by influencing specific growth pathways in the body.
Okay. And chlorella. Similar muscle effects.
Research on chlorella often points towards benefits for exercise performance, both anaerobic and aerobic. Things like potentially increasing stamina, reducing fatigue. It's thought to be linked to its antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties. There was also an animal study suggesting chlorella could help prevent muscle breakdown, muscle atrophy in mice under oxidative stress.
So maybe less about building and more about protecting and enhancing performance.
It seems to play a role in both, perhaps with the strong suit, in protecting muscle tissue and aiding performance and endurance.
Okay, so building, protecting. What about recovery itself, helping you bounce back after a tough session?
Some studies look specifically at spirulina for recovery. found it might help improve recovery heart rate, how quickly your heart rate comes down after exercise,
Oh, interesting.
and also potentially reduce lactate levels, that burning sensation.
Yeah, less burn is always good.
Right. And this is likely thanks to phycocyanin, that blue pigment in spirulina. It's a potent antioxidant and anti-inflammatory.
Ah, that pigment again.
Yeah. So by reducing that exercise-induced inflammation and oxidative stress, it can really help the recovery process, get you ready for the next workout faster.
Okay, this is all sounding pretty positive for muscle, but how well do we actually absorb it? Digestibility, bioavailability. That's crucial, right?
Absolutely critical. If you can't digest and absorb it, the protein content doesn't matter much. Spirulina generally scores really well here. Human studies show high digestibility, like 85 to 95%.
That's very high.
It is. They use sophisticated methods to confirm we can break down and absorb those essential amino acids effectively.
Mm,
So you eat spirulina, you're likely getting good value from that protein.
that's good to know. What about chlorella? I feel like I've heard it's trickier.
You have heard correctly. Chlorella has this tough outer cell wall made of cellulose, other complex stuff. Our digestive enzymes struggle to get through it easily.
Ah, so less digestible.
Naturally, yes.
Hmm.
But, and this is key, processing makes a huge difference. Techniques like mechanically breaking the cell wall or using enzymes, these can significantly reduce its digestibility.
Okay.
When it's processed properly, chlorella's protein digestibility can get up to around 86%. It's pretty good.
So for chlorella, you really need to know it's been processed to break that wall.
Exactly. The processing method matters a lot for unlocking its potential.
How does this compare to, say, whey? Whey is famous for being super fast absorbing.
Yeah, whey is the speed king for absorption. Processed algae proteins, though, can achieve comparable levels of bioavailability overall.
Okay.
And some research even hints that plant proteins, maybe including algae, might absorb a bit more slowly than whey, but could potentially lead to a more sustained release of amino acids over time.
Sustained release? Could that be good?
Could be, maybe for feeling full longer or for providing amino acids for recovery over a longer period, not just that initial spike. But also really individual, your gut microbes, what else you ate,
Right.
that all plays a role too.
Right. It's never just one thing. Okay. Moving beyond just the protein, whole foods usually have extra benefits. What else are spirulina and chlorella bringing to the table for athletes?
Oh, they're packed,
Mm.
just loaded with micronutrients. Spirulina, for example, great source of B vitamin.
Energy metabolism, right?
Exactly. Plus vitamin C, D, E, which is a key antioxidant, and K, and minerals. Iron for carrying oxygen, magnesium for muscle function, potassium, calcium, zinc for immunity, copper, selenium.
Wow, quite the list.
It really is. These are all vital for processes that support athletic performance and just general health.
And you mentioned antioxidants before, especially with spirulina.
Yes, spirulina is a powerhouse there, mainly because of that phycocyanin, the blue pigment, but also beta-carotene. Your body turns that into vitamin A and vitamin E.
How do antioxidants help athletes?
Intense exercise creates oxidative stress and inflammation. It's just part of the process. Antioxidants help combat that, sort of like cleaning up the cellular mess.
Right.
This could potentially reduce muscle soreness and speed up recovery.
Makes sense. Cleanup crew. What about chlorella's nutrient profile? Similar.
Also very impressive. B vitamins, C, D, K, minerals like iron. It's actually a particularly good source of iron, magnesium, zinc, copper, potassium, calcium. Also notable for folate, which is important for red blood cells.
Good iron source. That's useful, especially for female athletes or vegetarians.
Definitely. And like spirulina, chlorella is rich in antioxidants too. It's famous for its chlorophyll content. That's the green pigment. Super high levels.
Chlorophyll, often linked to detox benefits, right?
That's the association, yeah. Also has beta-carotene, lutein, zeaxanthin, good for eye health. And importantly, both spirulina and chlorella contain some omega-3 fatty acids.
Ah, omega-3s,
Right.
anti-inflammatory.
Exactly. Good for overall health, can support recovery too.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're getting way more than just protein here. It's a whole nutrient package.
So yeah, definitely not just protein. You get this whole cocktail of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants. Sounds genuinely valuable for athletes. Are we seeing them use more in like actual sports nutrition products now?
Oh, absolutely. The market has definitely noticed. You're seeing spirulina and chlorella pop up increasingly in protein powders, supplements, tablets, capsules, even in snack bars aimed at athletes or active people.
What kind of doses are typical?
Often ranges from, say, 1 to 5 grams per day in supplements. Some experts suggest athletes looking for performance benefits might go a bit higher, maybe 4 to 5 grams of spirulina daily for example.
And you can see the appeal, right? Especially for vegan or vegetarian athletes who need those complete protein sources.
Totally. It offers that high-quality, complete protein package that fits perfectly with plant-based diets.
Okay, now, gotta play devil's advocate. Nothing's perfect.
Yeah.
What are the potential downsides or things people should just be aware of?
Yeah, important to cover. First off, taste, let's be real.
Uh-oh.
Spirulina, it can have a pretty strong flavor. Earthy, some say seaweedy, or even a bit fishy. It can be off-putting for some.
Okay. And chlorella?
Generally considered milder, more green or grassy, often more palatable, maybe easier to mask in things.
Good to know. What else? Any side effects?
Some people might experience mild GI issues,
Mm-hmm.
a bit of nausea, maybe gas or diarrhea. Seems slightly more common with chlorella, especially when you first start taking it.
Ah, so maybe start low and go slow.
Definitely the way to go. Introduce it gradually. Another really important point is contamination risk.
Contamination? With what?
With algae supplements, there's a potential risk of contamination with heavy metals or things called microcystins, which are toxins some algae can produce.
Yikes. Okay, that sounds serious.
It can be,
No.
which is why it is absolutely critical to choose products from reputable brands.
Yeah.
Brands that do rigorous testing for purity and safety. Look for third-party testing or certifications if you can find them. Don't just grab the cheapest bottle.
Right. Quality control is paramount here. Any other interactions or warnings?
Yes. Both contain vitamin K, so they could potentially interfere with blood thinners, like warfarin,
Okay, good to know for people on those meds.
and they can stimulate the immune system.
Sure.
So people taking immunosuppressant drugs or those with autoimmune diseases should be cautious, maybe especially with spirulina, and definitely talk to their doctor first.
Makes sense. Anything else?
Just that spirulina is high in phenylalanine.
Mhm.
People with PKU phenylketonuria need to avoid that amino acid. And finally, just remember the nutrient content can vary. Depends on the exact algae species, how it was grown, how it was processed.
So, bottom line. Do your research on brands, start slow, and check with your doctor if you have health conditions or take meds. Okay. We've covered the science, the benefits, the cautions. Let's get practical. How can people actually use this stuff, make it taste good? Time for some algae adventures.
Exactly. Let's tame the algae flavor beast. Smoothies are probably the easiest, most versatile starting point. You can blend away the taste, pretty much.
Okay, hit us with some smoothie ideas.
All right, for spirulina, with its stronger flavor, maybe an electric blue lagoon, use frozen banana, pineapple, coconut milk. And if you use blue spirulina, which is just the phycocyanin extract, you get that amazing color, often without the strong taste.
Oh, blue spirulina. Interesting.
Yeah. Or green goddess elixir, mango, banana, maybe some cucumber, almond milks, a date or two for sweetness, a Hawaiian sunset, coconut, mango, pineapple, touch of blue spirulina lime, simple detox, water, cucumber, berries, spinach, teaspoon of spirulina, antioxidant avalanche, frozen blueberries, banana, cinnamon, almond butter, spirulina, simplicity siren, just banana, spinach, frozen strawberries, almond milk, spirulina, need a kick. Ginger zing zapper, berries, almond milk, spinach, banana, fresh ginger, spirulina. Or creamy green dream, avocado, spirulina, mango, spinach, soy milk. The trick is pairing it with flavors you like that are strong enough.
Those actually sound pretty good. What about chlorella, the milder one?
Since it's milder, maybe a chlorella charm.
Mhm.
Banana, mango, pineapple, vegan yogurt, almond milk, super fast. Chlorella quickie, frozen bananas, almond milk, strawberries, chlorella simple. Beauty booster, water, banana, spinach, coconut meat, chlorella, mint, vanilla, or nectarine nirvana. Ripe nectarine, banana, mango, chlorella, non-dairy milk. It often blends in more easily.
Okay, smoothies are clearly a great option. But what if you're not a smoothie person or want other ideas?
Totally fair. Algae aren't just for blending. Easy enough to stir a spoonful into your regular post-workout protein shake or even a meal replacement drink. Boosts the nutrition.
Good tip. Beyond drinks.
Think energy balls. Great way to sneak it in. For spirulina, maybe you mix raw almonds, medjool dates, a little lemon zest, and your spirulina powder.
Ooh, lemon sounds like a good pairing.
It can be. Or another one. Cacao nibs, dates, cashews, goji berries, teaspoon of spirulina, shredded coconut. For chlorella, you could do similar things. Yogurt is another fantastic base.
Yogurt. How?
Surprisingly versatile. You can make a savory spirulina dip, mix it into plain yogurt with garlic, tahini, lemon juice, dill. Great with
A
veggies.
savory. Interesting.
Or go sweet. Stir it into yogurt with honey or maple syrup and berries. There's actually research on adding algae to yogurt, looking at the benefits. And don't forget oatmeal.
Algae and oatmeal.
Yeah. Stir spirulina into overnight oats with coconut milk. Or make vibrant blue oatmeal using blue spirulina. Maybe blend in some coconut butter and banana. Fun way to start the day.
Okay, these are genuinely creative ways. Maybe just quickly recap the key differences again, spirulina versus chlorella, to help people
Yeah,
choose.
what idea? So, quick reminder. Spirulina, high-protein powerhouse, complete amino acids, often a stronger flavor. Chlorella, also complete protein, super rich in chlorophyll, good vitamins, minerals, generally milder, earthier taste.
And flavor pairing tips.
Think sweet fruits, berries, banana, mango. Tart fruits can cut through the flavor too. Natural sweeteners help. Aromatic herbs like mint. Even cocoa or cacao powder can mask it well.
Practical tips.
Start low, go slow. Have a teaspoon maybe. See how you tolerate it, get used to the taste. And blend thoroughly, especially for smoothies. A good blender helps get rid of any grittiness.
Right. And if people want more recipes, where should they look?
Oh, the internet is your friend here. Tons of plant-based blogs and websites have recipes. Search for spirulina recipes or chlorella smoothies. Websites like the Conscious Plant Kitchen often use blue spirulina. Sometimes the supplement companies themselves, like Synergy Company, share recipes. Healthline has good info articles too. Just explore that online plant-based community. Loads of inspiration there.
Fantastic. Okay, this has been incredibly thorough. To kind of wrap things up, what are the absolute key takeaways for our listeners about spirulina and chlorella?
I'd say the big ones are, one, they are high-quality, sustainable, complete protein sources. Their amino acid profiles really do stack up against things like whey and mycoprotein. Two, they offer a ton of extra health benefits, vitamins, minerals, powerful antioxidants that can really support athletic performance and recovery.
And we also need to remember the potential paste hurdle, maybe some initial tummy issues for some people,
Right?
and the absolute importance of choosing reputable, well-tested brands for purity.
Crucial. But as we've seen, there are so many ways to actually get them into your diet and make it enjoyable. Smoothies, energy balls, yogurt, oatmeal. Don't be afraid to experiment with the ideas we talked about, or find others online. Find what works for you.
Absolutely. And maybe here's a final thought to leave everyone with. When you consider the environmental upsides alongside this pretty potent nutritional package from these, well, ancient organisms, how might bringing more microalgae into our modern diets change things? Not just for our own health and fitness, but maybe for the planet's future, too.
Definitely food for thought.
Something to chew on. Thanks for exploring this deep dive with us.